As we live our lives, we all know that the approach of death always comes our way. The difference in each of our lives, however, is how we confront and respond to it. The poem Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night explores how different types of people embrace or continue fighting for life, with each type represented by a tercet. Dylan Thomas, who grew up in Swansea, Wales, was deeply influenced by his surroundings and family life. His father, a schoolmaster, instilled in him a love for literature, while his mother introduced him to the world of music and storytelling. This rich artistic environment fueled Thomas's passion for writing, eventually leading him to become a poet. He wrote this poem in the early 1950s, during a time when his father was nearing death. It reflects intense themes of grief, loss, and the emotional turmoil surrounding mortality. Thomas's struggles with chronic illnesses and his battle with alcoholism, which ultimately contributed to his own early death at age 39, further enriched the poem's depth. Considering why Thomas crafted this piece and shared such a personal narrative invites us to reflect on our own relationships with life and death.
The poem's structure, built upon 5 tercets followed by a quatrain, allows Thomas to examine various archetypes of men confronting death. In the first stanza, the speaker urges the elderly to resist the comic sentence of mortality. The phrase, "Do not go gentle into that good night," serves as both a refrain and a stark metaphor for death. By advocating that old age should burn and rave, the speaker suggests that individuals should maintain their passion even as life wanes. This defiance sets a resolute tone for the poem. In the second stanza, the focus shifts to wise men, who acknowledge that death is inevitable truth. The line, "Because their words had forked no lightning they," conveys a sense of regret for not having made a more profound impact during their lives. Despite their understanding of death's inevitability, they harbor a desire for their existence to resonate more powerfully, which compels them to resist the approaching darkness. The third stanza introduces good men, who reflect on the potential of their actions and how they might have illuminated the world. Their acknowledgement of life's fragility drives them to battle against mortality, reinforcing the poem's central theme of struggle in the face of death. Each archetype presented serves as a reminder of the human experience and the universal desire to leave a meaningful legacy. In the fourth stanza, we encounter wild men, who pursue pleasure without fully realizing the finite nature of their time. The metaphor of catching the sun illustrates their exuberance for life, yet they lament their fleeting moments when it is too late to appreciate them. This notion captures the human tendency to take life for granted until faced with an inevitable conclusion. The fifth stanza presents grave men, who, nearing death, gain clarity and insight into their lives. The phrase, "blind eyes could blaze like meteors," suggests that even those who appear frail possess an inner fire and passion. This newfound awareness, acquired in life's twilight, fuels their resistance against the finality of death. This final stanza brings the poem to a deeply intimate and emotional climax. Dylan Thomas effectively conveys his struggle with the reality of losing his father, calling for defiance against death in a plea that resonates with the reader. The combination of personal anguish and the universal struggle against mortality creates a powerful and lasting impact. In examining Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, we uncover many rhetorical devices that enhance its emotional impact. Beyond anaphora, the repetition of phrases for emphasis, Thomas employs imagery, such as blinding sight and frail deeds, which conjure vivid pictures of vulnerability and insight. Additionally, the use of juxtaposition, the placement of contrasting ideas side by side, is evident when contrasting the strength of wild men with the fertility of grave men, highlighting the multi-faced nature of human existence. Lastly, apostrophe, a direct address to an absent or deceased person, emerges in the last final stanza as Thomas addresses his father directly, transforming the poem into an intimate dialogue that resonates universally. Ultimately, the poem is a villanelle poem, as mentioned briefly. A villanelle poem is 19 lines long, which is divided into 5 tercets, 3-line stanzas, followed by a quatrain, 4-line stanza. A villanelle poem is also a poem in which it is in a ABA format, followed by a rhyme scheme in that format. Thomas's villanelle serves as a powerful reminder to appreciate our loved ones and to fight against the darkness that looms over us. Each archetype presented within the poem encapsulates a different aspect of our relationship with mortality, encouraging both reflection and resilience. It implores us to keep fighting not only for ourselves but for those we hold dear.